It's commonly said by critics of Islam that the miracle that the Prophet Muhammad performed in the Quran chapter 54, according to the commentary of Ibn Kathir, and Ibn Kathir is a very important uh, Muslim commentator on the Quran. According to the Quran chapter 54, the Prophet Muhammad split the moon in half in order to demonstrate a miracle to his enemies that he is a real prophet. So the miracle God allowed the Prophet Muhammad to do was split the moon in half and put it back the way it was. Now, some people object to this miracle, saying there's no records of this. Uh, there's no records of the moon being split in half, or NASA has not confirmed that the moon has been split in half. There's no archaeological evidence that the moon was split in half, etc., etc. But they seem to be forgetting one thing, in that they're forgetting about something called local miracles. Local miracles is a miracle where God just allows the intended audience to see the miracle, right? So, I read the Bible. Reading the Bible, the same thing happens in the Bible. Like if we read Joshua chapter 10, verse 12 to 14, Joshua made the sun made the sun stay still, according to the Bible, according to the Old Testament. Now, is there any evidence in history that shows that the sun stood still? No, there isn't. There's absolutely no evidence for this miracle that Joshua performed. So, how do we explain this? Well, we explain this by, you know, the Christian philosophers and commentators have said that this is a local miracle. That means God can do a miracle and show it to whoever he wants. That's certainly possible. So if Christians have no problems with Joshua making the sun stand still, despite there being no records of this, then why do they find it so difficult to believe that Prophet Muhammad split the moon in half? That certainly, in a world where God exists, in a world where the supernatural exists, these things are certainly possible, despite lack of evidences or whatever. Uh, so the whole thing is that when you go into the supernatural, when you go into the miracles of the Bible, of the Quran, etc., these don't have to be scientifically proven, just accepted. God can do anything. He can split the moon in half and put it back the way it was, without leaving any traces, and just showing that miracle to local people. I mean, he's God. He can do whatever he wants. Same thing with the sun standing still in Joshua's command. The God can make the sun stand still, and just show that miracle to local people. Why does he have to show it to everybody? We don't have all the, we might not have scientific explanation of how God made the sun stand still for Joshua. We might not have a scientific explanation of how God split the moon for the Prophet Muhammad when the Prophet Muhammad was asked to do a miracle. But the fact of the matter is, he did. And for people to say, well, how come there's no records of it on Earth? Well, it was a local miracle to begin with, so it was only intended for that specific audience of Prophet Muhammad's time. It wasn't meant for the whole world to see it. It was just meant for the Prophet Muhammad's critics to see it. Same thing with the sun standing still. There's no records of this, but it was intended. It was a miracle to help Joshua. God did that miracle in the Old Testament to help Joshua, overcome his enemies. So that's what I want to make, is that Jews, Christians, and Muslims believe in the supernatural. In a world where the supernatural exists, these things are possible. So for atheists to question these miracles, that I can kind of understand that. But for Christians to criticize the miracles of the Prophet Muhammad, that's kind of hypocritical, because the Bible is filled with miracles all over the place. So Christians are inconsistent when they criticize the miracles of the Prophet Muhammad. That's basically the whole thing. Is God performed a miracle, right? He performed a miracle for Joshua for causing the sun to delay its settings. Uh, you know, for causing the sun to delay its setting. God stopped the motion of the earth. You know, so in a world where God exists, God who created the universe and the world and established natural laws is perfectly capable of doing anything that violates natural law, natural order, right? It's not natural for the moon to split in half by the command of a human and put it back together, but God can do that for his prophet Muhammad because he's in a world where God exists, these things are possible. It's not possible for the sun to stand still or for the earth to stop moving around the earth, or the earth to stand still, but God allowed that for Joshua, to show a miracle. So basically, the prophet Muhammad splitting the moon in order to do a miracle is the same as Joshua making the sun stand still. Yes, there might be no records of it. Yes, there might not be much archaeological evidence to show that the moon was split in half and put back together, or there's no records of the sun standing still for a day in Joshua's time. But again, these are local miracles, and these are, in a world where God exists, these things are possible. It's very possible that God does miracles and just shows it. God does local miracles and shows it to local people. The splitting of the moon was never intended for everybody on earth to see it. It was just intended for the local critics of the Prophet Muhammad. The sun standing still was never meant for the Chinese to see it. It was just meant for the Israelites. It was just meant to be a miracle for Joshua and the Israelites against their enemies in Joshua chapter 10. So this is just my whole 2 cents on the miracles found in the Old Testament and the miracles of the Quran. Jews, Christians, and Muslims believe in the supernatural. So in a world where the supernatural exists, in a world where God is all powerful and can do whatever he wants, these are certainly possible things that these are things that are possible that God allows, and intends for people to see it, local people to see it, because these are local miracles and not intended to be worldwide miracles. So that's my 2 cents on the whole this whole thing. Stay tuned, more videos coming up.